Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to hell. Because if you're a Manchester United fan, that is where we are right now. We are in hell. This is it, guys. This is the bottom. This is the lowest of the low. This is the end. In the last 50 years of Manchester United's history, this is the darkest day in that half century. It has never been worse in the last 50 years than it is right now. We are an international disgrace, no longer just a national disgrace. Because over the 37, soon to be 38 games of the season, we have disgraced ourselves on a national level. Near 17th in the league. After this weekend, we very well might be. And believe me, Old Trafford against Villa this Sunday is going to be a morgue. It's going to be a cemetery. I would actually advise Man United fans to not show up to the game. Make them feel how they've embarrassed us. Make them hurt how they've embarrassed us. Hurt their finances. Hurt their pockets. Hurt their egos. They don't deserve us on that final day. Not after this season. Not after Wednesday. But we've just near finished 17th in the league. Only perhaps the worst three teams in Premier League history have stopped Man United, one of the biggest football clubs, scratch that, one of the biggest sports franchises in the world. Only Leicester, Southampton, and Ipswich have prevented that club from being relegated. If those three clubs didn't exist, if you eliminate those three clubs and this mini league of the rest of the 17 teams in the league all competed against each other, and you took away the games they played against the relegated three, and you made a new table based on how those 17 clubs do against each other, Man United would rank bottom of that league. That's not an opinion. That's not a thought. That's a fact. We are at the bottom. But after last night, we are no longer just a national disgrace. We are an international disgrace. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we can laugh at the likes of Chelsea when they do bad. We can laugh at the likes of Arsenal when they do bad. We can laugh at the likes of Liverpool in the past when they were bad under Roy Hodgson. Man City. I won't even include City. We're talking like the massive Goliath football clubs of the last 40 years. City, it's more recent, right? No disrespect to City, but you got where I'm coming from, right? Those clubs have gone through bad moments in their history over the last 50 years. I'll even say in the Premier League era. Chelsea, we laughed at them a few seasons ago when they finished 12th. They finished 12th and we mocked them. Arsenal, they finished 8th back-to-back seasons and we mocked them. Liverpool, we're in a really bad point under Roy Hodgson, but they still salvaged the season. Came, I think, around 7th. None of those clubs have even been close after 38 games to 16th, 17th in the league. This is the worst any Cat A, S-tier level football club in England has ever been in the Premier League era to the bottom. As much as we laughed at them in their bad moments, we've eclipsed them. Or rather, we've eclipsed them in the worst way possible. But now, forget about those English clubs. Let's take it to the international level. Ladies and gentlemen, in recent memory, Real Madrid have never been this bad. Ever. FC Barcelona have never been this bad. Ever. You're going to say, of course, yes, don't even compare yourself to them. Fine. FC Bayern München have never been this bad in recent memory. Ever. Bayern's too much, right? It's too much. Fair enough. Continue. Juventus have never been this bad footballing-wise. Ever. Don't bring me the relegation, the Calciopoli. That's because of paying off the refs. From a footballing perspective, they've never been this bad. Ever. Inter have never been this bad. Ever. They went a decade without winning the league. A walk through the desert in the 2010s. Went through so many managers, so many players. They never finished this low in Serie A. Ever. AC Milan, our banter brothers, they've never finished this low, guys. Ever. Ever. We are an international disgrace. No S-tier football club in world football has ever been this bad in recent memory. Ever. We are in unprecedented territory right now. This is hell. I need this to get through you guys' heads because I'm about to go through every single member of this godforsaken football club right now. Every single one of them. Player, coach, board, owners. I wish I knew the kitchen staff by name. I'd go through them as well too. Every last one of them will be addressed in this video. And I don't want to hear any Man United fan in my comment section saying, oh, you're not a real fan. Don't go at him. He doesn't deserve it. Blah, blah, blah. Have you seen what he did in this game? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. After the season that these guys have given us, nobody is safe. Every single last one of these guys are up for scrutiny. Every single last one of them should have their job on the line. This is disaster at the highest level. I'm even mentioning elite level clubs. Guys, when Everton are near 17th in the league, they fire their manager. It's a crisis. Players get sold. Ownership is called into question. Spurs! This is their worst season ever. They're still in a better position than us. I can't believe what I've watched this year. I cannot believe what I've watched this year. Last season when we finished on 8th under Erik ten Hag, I thought, wow, it can't get worse than this. Because first and foremost, we were lucky to finish 8th last year. We should have finished 14th. All the underlying metrics said it. But we finished 8th. And we won the FA Cup on top of that. But I genuinely thought to myself, last year was so bad. It was so bad. Knocked out of Europe at the first asking. Couldn't score goals. Humiliated by so many rivals. No way it gets worse than that. And they've actually only gone and done it. Fair play, Man United. That's the one thing you've accomplished this year. You haven't accomplished much, but you have accomplished that. You've been worse than the year before. And I thought that was damn near impossible. But you've done that. But this season right here will live long in the memory for all the wrong reasons. I will never forget this season. Ever. And I urge any Man United fan watching this, do not let this feeling, do not let this sensation, do not let this season just disappear like that. Remember how this hurts. Remember what this feels like. Remember what last night, or whenever you're watching this video now, remember how that Europa League final felt when the final whistle blew. And you saw a team celebrate breaking a 17-year trophy curse, breaking the duck of being called the biggest bottlers in Europe. They broke that curse on your head tops. Don't you ever forget how this feels. And don't you ever forget who made you feel that way. Because every single last one of these guys is up for scrutiny. Not a single one can be let off the hook. Not one. And yet, even with how bad this season was, horrible season, by the grace of the heavens above, Manchester United were gifted an opportunity on a golden platter to turn the worst season in the history of any super level club ever into a berth into next season's Champions League. How they managed that, only God knows. Only God knows. I don't know it. I couldn't give you an answer. How they even qualified for the Europa League this season was by a miracle. And how they even were 90 minutes away from qualifying for next season's Champions League would have been the greatest miracle of all time. This is a garbage team, and yet they were 90 minutes away. And with that opportunity, every single one of these players, the manager, the board, the owners, the fans, should have looked at this 90 minutes, this one day, as the perfect opportunity to let bygones be bygones, put everything that happened this season in the past, focus everything you got on this one game, and make light of what's been an absolutely terrible situation. Please, it's impossible to save the season. This season is unsalvageable, even if we won last night. But just bring some pride. Bring some pride to the fans. Bring some pride to the badge. Bring some pride for yourself. And yet, throughout the week, this manager comes out and says, you know what, to be honest, it wouldn't actually be the worst thing if we lose this, because then I have more time on the. This guy genuinely, on the week of the final, had the nerve to come up with an excuse just in case we lost for why losing the final wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Meanwhile, I look at Spurs. I look at Spurs throughout the week. I look at Ange's quotes throughout the week. I look at Ange, the way he's speaking to his team after they beat Bodo Glimt. I was at that game, at the fans showing up 2 hours before the game, filling up their stand, rocking the streets of Bilbao. I look at the players warming up. So much concentration and focus in their eyes. They treated this game like the biggest game of their lives. And for good reason, by the way, right? I'm under no disillusion as to why Spurs treated it such a big deal. This was an opportunity to put themselves in the history books. Their legacy was on the line. Every single one of those players are now, at bare minimum, Spurs cult heroes, if not legends. So I get why it meant so much for them. But knowing how much it meant for them, knowing how focused and urgent and intense they were going to treat this game from minute one. Look at how United prepared for this week. Look at how United spoke in the media. Look at how Amarim spoke. Look at how our fans. I was there. I'm not innocent here, right? I did everything I could to be at this game, and I won't judge any Man United fan that did the same. But I'm sorry, Spurs outclassed us in the stands yesterday. That I don't even think is arguable. It meant more for them. It meant more for them, and I think they were the 12th man for Spurs yesterday. But that's not our fault that we lost the game. That's not what I'm trying to say here, right? But look at the difference. Seriously. It's an absolute disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. Where do we even start with this, right? I mean, I have to start with Ruben Amorim. I have to start with Ruben Amorim. You know what's so funny, guys, right? Last night I recorded a review, and a lot of the comments and a lot of people in my Discord were saying, Lyes, you're calmer than I thought you were. I'll tell you why I was calm. It wasn't so much calmness. It was more like shock. Like, I first of all, I'd been super tired throughout the day. Just to kind of give you guys a recap of how my last 48 hours have gone. Wednesday morning, me and Cam left at 2 a.m. from our apartment to go to London Stansted, an hour-long journey by cab. From London Stansted, we took a 2-hour plane to Nantes in France. 1 hour overlay there. Then another plane to Madrid. From Madrid, we had a 4.5 bus ride, 4.5 hour bus ride to Bilbao. We arrived roughly an hour and a half ahead of the game. So we are just shattered. We haven't slept practically the whole night. I'm not great at sleeping on transportation. That's just me personally. Cam didn't sleep much as well either. And we're excited. We're excited and nervous for the game. So this is an out of body experience, to be honest with you. We watch the game. We go through that shit show. And then after the game, for some reason, I just decided, let me start recording myself. But honestly, I wasn't in the right headspace to really go off. Like, I could just only react to everything I had just seen. The emotions, I didn't even know how to be emotional in that moment. And to be honest with you, I watch it back and I'm like, yeah, that's like an out of body experience. Like, it's me, but it's not really me. I'm just like, I was shocked. I was shocked. I was tired. I was exhausted. I was pissed, but I was more than anything just shocked. I woke up the next morning. By the way, we went straight from the game to the bus station to do the whole journey over again. I slept a little bit more, but I woke up on a flight halfway from Madrid to Barcelona, and it actually hit me in that moment. The anger that a lot of United fans had in that moment hit me in that moment right there. It hit me in that moment right there. And I got home, I slept an hour, I went to SDS, I had to listen to Abs and Liban rip each other's heads off. I barely said a word because, quite frankly, I couldn't be bothered. But now I'm here. And now, honestly, all the emotions are just overflowing. They're just overflowing. I'm so angry, bro. I'm so angry at so many people. But first and foremost, I have to look at Ruben Amorim. I have to look at Ruben Amorim. And anybody telling me today, Lyes, you can't go at Amarim. He doesn't have his players. Look at the squad that he's had to deal with. He had to come halfway through the season. None of that is incorrect. I've said all of those points various times this season. I have not muttered the words Amarim out once this entire year. And spoiler, you're not going to hear me say it this video. Because for me, it's not as urgent as I thought it was with Erik ten Hag 12 months ago. This guy hasn't had two windows, 400, 600 million pounds to spend. It's not his squad. So I get all of that. But at the same time, guys, football is not black and white. Life is not black and white. It isn't all of a sudden, oh, it's either all Amarim or all the players, and it can't be in between. All of what you guys are probably thinking about Amarim up to yesterday is more than accurate. But once the game kicks off, it's also irrelevant. The fact that Ruben Amorim arrived halfway through the season, didn't get the squad that he wanted, didn't have a great January, all goes out the window the minute the final kicks off. Because if we didn't make the final and you want to make those excuses, okay, but we're in the final. Even with everything that happened, we're in the final. So that clearly wasn't enough to stop us from getting to the final. And on the flip side, you look at the Spurs team that we're playing, and a lot of people thought I was dissing Spurs last night. I'm not dissing Spurs. I'm just being honest. Spurs are not a great team. They're not. There's a reason why they wanted Ange out the entire year. There's a reason why he still might leave. And there's a reason why, at the current time of recording, they're still below us in the league. They've lost over 20 games in all competition, in the Premier League alone this season. Defensively, they've been in absolute shambles. And yes, they've had their injury problems. They had their injury problems yesterday. So we aren't playing a vintage team here. We aren't playing City. We aren't playing Barca. We aren't playing Real Madrid. We aren't playing Juventus. We're playing Spurs. At a really low level Spurs. And we're playing a Spurs team that we're missing their three most creative midfielders. Their two most creative players flat out. Kulusevski, James Maddison, Bergvall. Those players are integral to them. Those players are integral to them. If Ruben Amorim was missing Bruno Fernandes, Amad Diallo, and I don't know, who else? Mason Mount. Let's just say those three players. If he was missing those three players in yesterday's game and lined up with Casemiro, Ugarte, and Eriksen, guys, we would be saying, oh, there's no expectation on Ruben Amorim. None whatsoever. Bro, we might as well just throw this final. We have no chance whatsoever. That's how important those guys are to them. Not trying to say Maddison's as good as Bruno. You guys understand what I'm saying. That they are huge to what Ange wants to do. On the flip side, Ruben Amorim had as close to as what you can get a Ruben Amorim team when everyone is fit in this team as you can get. Maybe Xerxes is the only one that if he's fit, he starts. Match fit for 90 minutes, he starts. Luke Shaw was awful yesterday, and I'm going to get onto him because that guy has pissed me off this morning. But clearly Amarim rates him. Mason Mount was awful yesterday, but clearly Amarim loves him. That was an Amarim team. That was his whole squad at his disposal, damn near, and he picked everyone he wanted to. And yet, over the 90 minutes, guys, the display of football that his side produced was absolute dog shit. It's as simple as that. There's no way to color this. There's no way to paint this in a more luxurious way. It was awful. That's not Manchester United. And if that's the football that we're signing up with this guy, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want anything to do with that kind of football. Lumping the ball forward to Rasmus Højlund to deal with scraps against two center backs vastly more physically developed than he is. Spending the last 30 minutes hoofing balls into the box, hoping Maguire at the back post can get a nick on it and someone to tap it in. Desperately trying to recreate that one moment of pure fantasy, but also largely pure luck that Maguire produced against Lyon. That's how we spent most of this game, trying to break down a Spurs team that after 45 minutes, when largely most of the play went the way they wanted it to, and they took a 1-0 lead, they effectively said, and for the first time this season, by the way, which Ange has not done, but against United he decided to, we're going to sit back, we're going to practically just allow you to have the ball for the entirety of the half, and we're going to challenge you. We're going to dare you to break us down. Do your worst. Do your worst. We don't believe in you. We don't believe in your players. We don't believe in your quality. And more than anything, we don't believe in your tactical setup. We don't. We saw how you tried to build up from the back in the first 45 minutes. It was a laughing stock. Watching Manchester United try to build out from the back in this system is genuine comedy, bro. Let me describe it to you. Maguire gets on the ball, plays it out to Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, first and foremost, his first look is always to go back, then does a turn on the ball, looks up to find Dorgu, plays it into Dorgu, who, when he receives it, is already getting locked up by Pedro Porro. Dorgu's receiving it on the touchline. The minute he opens up his body, Pedro Porro is ready to just immediately jump on his first touch. So, therefore, Dorgu can't go forward when he gets it because of how the setup is. His first touch goes backwards, back to Luke Shaw. But then, here's where Spurs are proactive. What's his name? Brennan Johnson is immediately on Luke Shaw's first touch. Therefore, Luke Shaw has to go all the way back to Maguire. Hold on, Solanke's automatically on Maguire's first touch. He then goes back to Onana. Then Solanke's chasing him down. Onana, the greatest ball-playing goalkeeper in the world, supposedly, what does he do? First time, left-footed, hoof up the pitch to Rasmus Højlund, who cannot win a header to save his life against Romero and Van de Ven. They win the ball back, and it all restarts over. We did that practically the entire half. The only time we ever found success against Spurs, and it's not rewriting history, I watched the game and I watched it back. The only time we ever found success was Maguire diagonals over the top to the path of Patrick Dorgu. Or on the odd occasion, Amad Diallo 1v3 would find himself a solution. Outside of that, guys, there was no central progression. We could not play through the midfield whatsoever. We could not build out from the back successfully whatsoever. All our success came from Maguire long balls over the top into the path of Dorgu and hoping Dorgu could come up with something. Guys, that's absolute dog shit, bro. That's not football. That's not how you're winning football at the elite level. It's not. And that's not to say Spurs were exceptionally great. Spurs found most of their success through set pieces. They did. Pedro Porro in swingers. But I'm sorry, they got their goal and then for 45 minutes just sat back and said, yeah, United, try and break us down. And it's not a surprise that United had all the ball. If you look at who had the most touches, it's probably Lenny Yoro, Harry Maguire, and Luke Shaw. Because all they did was just swing it back and forth between each other. All they did. And then at one point, Maguire, last 25 minutes, go forward. We're going to just try and hoof the ball up to you. Ruben Amorim watched his team do that. Unsuccessfully, I might add, for 71 minutes. In those 71 minutes, we created absolutely no clear-cut chances, none, and we had 0 shots on target. 0. Now, you can tell me about player quality all you want. You can tell me about how many signings we made in January all you want. But guys, when you're playing against the best teams in the world, I can hear that. When you're even playing against bang average Premier League teams, I can low-key hear that as well too. But when I look at Spurs and I'm looking at Brennan Johnson on one side, if Brennan Johnson came to Manchester United, he would look absolutely bang average. He would not shine at Manchester United. I fully believe that. Richarlison on the other side. Are we saying now that Richarlison and Brennan Johnson are worlds apart from Amad and Mason Mount in terms of individual player quality? If that's the case, then you guys have been brainwashed. I'm sorry. It's as simple as that. If you want to tell me Man United can't compete for top 4 because the 4 best teams in this league are levels above them, I can hear it. But Spurs are where they are in the league for a reason, because they're not a great footballing team, amongst other reasons. But they're not that great. Don't give me player quality for a team that's 17th in the league and is missing their 3 most creative players. I don't want to hear it. And if I have to hear it, I'm going to lose my shit. Amarim watched his team try unsuccessfully to play it around Spurs for 71 minutes. Everyone in the stadium was screaming, subs, make a change something up, switch it up, bring in a new player. While he basically looked around, hands in pockets, shaking his head down, looking downwards, begging for the ground to swallow him up. That's literally what he did for 71 minutes. Took a few glances over at the substitutes who were warming up for God knows how long. And then eventually, Garnacho came on for Mason Mount, which was a substitution that everyone knew needed to make because Mason Mount did absolutely nothing Nothing for 71 minutes. I was an advocate of him starting from the beginning. He literally did nothing to justify that. And honestly, if you wanted to give him a little bit in the second half to try and avenge himself, 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes in the second half. If nothing changes, get him off. This guy survived another 10 minutes after that. For what reason, I have no idea. Bentancur literally followed him like a shadow the entire game. Could not get by him. A few times Bentancur nicks him. Mason Mount found little to no success in that game whatsoever. He brings Garnacho on for him. Rasmus Højlund, who, I have to be honest, you guys know I don't rate this guy whatsoever. So what I'm about to say is not a compliment. I don't rate the guy. I've told you guys from day dot, he's not good enough. And now people are suddenly starting to see it. He's not good enough. But for how good he realistically is, he did as much as he could against Romero and Van de Ven. He held up the ball on the odd occasion, ran the channels decently well, laid it off a few times. I have no expectations for this guy. So he exceeded my expectations relative to how much I rate him. But ultimately, it's like playing with 10 of that guy. Xerxes came on. And Xerxes, I understand that one because how many minutes did he have on the clock? But you saw Xerxes from the jump immediately improve us. First touch immediately was just a quick layoff and that gets the team going. More than Højlund provided almost the entire game. Those two substitutions needed to be made 10 to 15 minutes earlier, minimum. At halftime, it was very, very clear to see where the team was going wrong. 20 minutes later, forget about obvious. It was just too late at that point. It was too late. And why Ruben Amorim waited that long to make a substitution when Ange's team were so comfortable defending us in the way that they did. A team, by the way, in Spurs, who are one of the worst defensive teams in the league over the last 2 seasons, kept us to a clean sheet. Let me actually see Spurs in terms of goals conceded this year where they rank. So they conceded 61 goals, as I suspected. Only the 3 worst teams in the Premier League and Wolves have conceded more goals than them. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the league. And yes, I know a lot of that has to do with Van de Ven and Romero not being there, but it's stylistically the way Ange has them set up. Surprisingly, he actually played a bit more of a pragmatic game today after going up a goal. But the point is, this isn't a lockdown team. You can get at them. They do concede chances, except with Manchester United, they conceded practically nothing for most of the game until eventually United just started forcing long balls and crosses. And ultimately, you're going to cause a little bit of chaos from that. But in terms of good, honest play from Man United, in terms of carving out real opportunities, absolutely nothing against one of the worst defenses in the Premier League. It's the 16th time this season a team keeps Man United scoreless in football. The 16th time. An absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace. And Amarim did absolutely nothing until the 71st minute. And lo and behold, Garnacho comes on and within 2 minutes gets a shot on target. Immediately starts creating danger. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of Garnacho, but he's an impact player, especially off the bench against heavy legs, against tired legs. And that's exactly what he did. So why did you wait so long? 20 minutes. I'm going to speak about his comments in a bit, but if we're just purely looking at his frustration for not playing enough today, he's validated. 20 minutes. 20 minutes when Mason Mount was doing fuck all game. It's a joke. It's a joke. Guys, Ruben Amorim was nullified by Ange today. Nullified. Ange, one of the most open defensive managers in the league, completely nullified Amorim's attack. And this is not one of those ones where I'm trying to hear about player quality. It's not one of those ones about, oh, if he had a different striker or a different number 10. Yesterday was a big red flag for me. A big red flag for me with Amarim. Not that I haven't had question marks about him, but I've been willing to kind of overlook it because, look, there's got to be something there and you got to give him a fair chance. But the way his side went out to play football this Wednesday, I'm not sure I even want to see that style of football, even with better players. I don't even know if I want to see it, let alone whether it's effective. But that's not my kind of football. Hoofing it long, hoping to kind of win knockdowns, to get your team up the pitch because your side is too poorly constructed, poorly set up to just naturally get up the pitch in a progressive way through passing the ball, through ball carrying. They couldn't do any of that. Lenny Yoro at one time was getting on the ball, looking up, throwing his hands in the air because the setup in front of him is just absolutely disjointed. The 2 number 10s. I mean, yesterday it felt almost more like a 4-2-3-1, right? Mazraoui playing right back, Luke Shaw playing left back, Dorgu playing as a left winger, Ahmad in right wing, Mount as a number 10. But Mount is never kind of dropping into the pockets to receive the ball. So every time Dorgu gets it or Luke Shaw gets it, he looks to try and find that pass through the lines. Mount is never there. Ahmad is practically hugging the touchline. Ahmad, they nullified him yesterday, bar the few moments that he did have, right? I'll give him that, but they largely nullified him because they identified how much of his game is just predicated on cutting in on his left. They said, nah, go play on your right. How many times did he almost slip over the ball? He was completely put off balance. He was completely put off his game. And Amarim had no solution throughout the 90 minutes of changing it to give his side a better chance at winning the game other than the only thing he knows how to do this year, which is just throw Maguire up front and pray. That's the only backup plan that Amarim has. I'm not somebody that has said all season Amarim needs to change his formation, because even now, I think that's bullshit, bro. Look at the team that's in the Champions League final, Inter. When things go wrong, people don't say Inzaghi changed the formation. They can say change the setup, change the way you build out, change some of the patterns of play. But the formation, bro, that's nonsense. Most of the teams in the Premier League these days build out in a 3 anyways. So it's never been about the formation. But during a game, when the way you're trying to play isn't working, in a final, you do nothing to change it. Nothing to give your team a better chance of winning the final, except in the last 25 minutes. Throw a center back up front. At no point you thought, maybe let me sacrifice a defender to bring on Kobbie Mainoo. Let me sacrifice a defender to throw on Garnacho a little earlier. At no point that occurred to you. On the Kobbie Mainoo situation, right? For all that we talk about Ruben Amorim, right? He shouldn't have to kind of bend over for these players. These players have sacked so many managers. Amorim should believe in his system. I'm all for that when it comes to players like Luke Shaw, when it comes to players like Casemiro, when it comes to players like Eriksen, when it comes to players that have been at the club for a long time. But imagine telling someone last season, around this time of the year, when Man United won the FA Cup final and Kobbie Mainoo was the man of the match in that final, where a month later he would then go on to play in midfield as a starter in a Euro final. Imagine telling Man United fans back then, the next manager that you get is not going to prioritize Kobbie Mainoo's fit and success in this team because of his formation. Every one of those Man United fans would have said, keep that manager away from us. That's not hindsight speaking. At that point in time, that would have been considered crazy. So I get not sacrificing your principles and your formation for any player. But wow, I'm sorry, guys. It is a red flag if, as a manager, you look at a club and the best young talent, or one of the best young talents at the club, can't fit into the way you want to play because you can't find room for him. Come on, guys. Come on. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. And it's not like the guys who are playing in front of him are world beaters. That's concerning for me. Kobbie Mainoo, I watched him for 90 minutes warming up by himself, watching the game. I could imagine probably fuming inside, fuming in his head, as his side created 0 chances in 72 minutes, 0 shots on target in 72 minutes. And Diogo Dalot saw the pitch before him. If I'm Kobbie Mainoo, I'm probably looking at the situation and saying, under this manager, I have no future at this club. I might need to move on. I was the man of the match in an FA Cup final for my team 12 months ago. 12 months later, I saw injury time, and that's it in a Europa League. That's poor, bro. That's poor. And that's not to take any responsibility away from Kobbie Mainoo. I know it's been a tough season for him. Injuries as well, too. I think he's come back a little too stocky as well. And it's up to him as well, too, to progress his game and develop as well. But come on, guys. 16th in the league. Can't find a way of getting Kobbie Mainoo more minutes in their team. That's not right. That's not right. And deep down, even you guys who will back Amarim to the hill, no, that's not right. And I'm going to continue saying it. I'm not against Amarim. I have nothing against the guy. But what I will say is I'm not really for him either. I've continued saying this all season. I'm not married to the idea that Ruben Amorim is the guy to bring Man United where they are. I will say I think there isn't enough to suggest that he isn't the guy, right? I think every manager needs a little bit of help in the window, a bit of help in recruitment in terms of building the squad a little more in their image. That I can't disagree with. But here's the frank reality, guys. And it's not because of the final. Maybe the performance a little, but it's not because we lost. Let me get back to the full screen. It's not because we lost. It absolutely isn't. But the performance is a red flag for me, alongside the fact that we're damn near 17th in the league. I don't give a damn if we fire Amarim or not. I do not give a damn. If Ruben Amorim walks out the door tomorrow, which he's not going to because United have practically all but guaranteed his continuation into next season. But if they were to decide tomorrow, yeah, you know what? We slept on it. Something changed in our dreams. We don't see him as the guy anymore. He's gone. Guys, I wouldn't flinch. And truthfully, none of you guys should either. Because yes, as unideal as the circumstances have been for him, he hasn't made good of bad circumstances whatsoever. It's not like he's done a great job despite the circumstances, or he's done a good job despite the circumstances, or he's even done an average job despite the circumstances. We hired him and we got drastically worse. And I think something like that was always a possibility because of the fact that we hired him midway through. And I'm going to get onto ownership and the board soon. Don't you worry about that. But if we fired him tomorrow, he wouldn't be able to complain. And neither would you guys. Because at the end of the day, football's a business. And this is what some Man United fans don't get, because we're too in love with the romantic side of the game. We're too in love with the story. We're too in love with the fairy tale, with the idea that a manager is just destined to come in here and give us 10 years of glory and success. And that's the next guy that we hire. Every guy that we hire is the guy. Look at Erik ten Hag. 12 months ago, some clowns in our fan base wrote an open letter to the ownership demanding that he stay. He was fired 3 months later, He's set to hire Bayer Leverkusen. His name hasn't been muttered by our fan base one single time since. No one has ever looked at it and said, oh, it's a mistake we fired Erik ten Hag. Because, guys, he's just a football manager. Just like the players, he's just an employee. If a player plays bad for 12 months straight, gives us absolutely horrible performances, like what Rasmus Højlund has done this season, all of us say, sell him, bring someone new in. And I'm sorry, with managers, it's the same thing. Yes, has he been dealt a rotten hand of cards? Yes, he has. But has he made the best out of the situation in any way possible? Nah, he hasn't. And that's why for me, if he gets sacked tomorrow, who could argue? Who could complain? Give the job to someone else. They might do a better job than him. Yesterday's performance, right, I think is largely on him. I know a few of the losses this season, I've looked at player quality and I'm like, Garnacho, that miss. Defensively, that's horrible from Lindelof. But wow, yesterday, I'm sorry, I'm not giving any player more blame than Ruben Amorim. But we will blame the players as well too, because some of those performances are just absolutely shocking. Luke Shaw, after the game, opened his mouth talking about how distraught he was about this season and how torn up he was about the fact that United were closer to relegation than the European places and how unacceptable this is for the fans. I'm sorry, I could be forgiven for actually thinking Luke Shaw didn't give a shit about the season because, my brother, there's been an APB out for you since game week 1 because your smart ass decided it would be better for your career and better for your own personal interests to go try and be fit for the Euros. Basically, sacrifice your fitness going to the season where you would play a game and a half for England just to lose anyways. Thus missing practically the entirety of this season because you prioritized national team over us. National team over the guys who pay your wages. You lived and died by that decision. But then you're coming out now saying how distraught you are about the season. Maybe you should have been a bit more distraught when you practically sacrificed how much you would play this season. And for Amarim to play this guy, this absolute mess, this guy's a slob. Luke Shaw is unfit to wear this shirt. He had the nerve to talk about players that are, with us players, are we fit enough to play for Manchester United? Let's start with you. Let's start with you before you talk about the squad. Let's start with you. You've been here for how long now? 10 years. Oh my goodness, Luke Shaw has been here a decade. If anybody needs to look in the mirror and ask themselves, are you still fit to play for this shirt? It should be you. In both meanings of the word fit, by the way. In both meanings. Because since you came back this season, it's been very, very clear that you are under no condition whatsoever to be playing for Manchester United. You don't look in shape. And that's not me fat shaming the guy. I look at him. Doesn't even look like a professional footballer out there. And the way he's playing as well too. Within 10 minutes, Brennan Johnson got in behind him because he was too busy, I don't even know, staring at the roses, daydreaming about what the trophy would feel like. Luke Shaw ends up kicking it out for a corner. That set the tone. From there on, I looked at Luke Shaw, I said, this guy's not ready for the final. And why should he be, by the way? He's been injured the whole year. We made this Europa League final with a set group of players, a core group of players. They're battle-tested. They were a group together. They went through wars together, as dramatic as it sounds. They went through war to get to this final together. This guy just joined along for the ride at the end. And by the way, he damn near knocked us out on the process against Lyon. His cameo is one of the worst I've seen this season. Conceding a penalty. Conceding chances left, right, and center. It was so off the pace, it was ridiculous. And yet he just walks into the starting 11 for the final like nothing happened all year. So we need to look as a squad about who are we really fit to play for this team. Let's start with you, bro. Let's start with you. And the answer, I'm sorry, has been no for a very long time now. You have been unfit to play for Manchester United for a very, very long time now. And of the departures this season, I wish you're one of them. Unfortunately, your wages are so astronomical and your fitness is so diabolical that the two of them combined make you practically untouchable for any team. So we got to go with another year of Luke Shaw. How many games that means? We'll be lucky if we see 10 more of you. But my goodness, what an absolute disgrace. And to talk the way he did after the game, nobody wants to hear from you, Luke Shaw. Seriously, you are the last person this fan base wants to hear. With all due respect, go back home this summer, take care of yourself, and maybe get yourself ready for the season if it's not too much to ask for. There's no international tournament for England that you got to prioritize for over us. There's nothing. So would it be too much to ask for you to be fit for match day 1? I won't hold my breath about it because with you, it seems that we have to sign a left back for God knows how much money to get you even half motivated to play for this team. He is the first one. What a dog shit performance yesterday. Mason Mount. I wanted him to start because I think his cameo against Bilbao in the second leg was brilliant. And I just think in those dual 10s, profile-wise, idealistically, he's what Amarim is looking for. And Amarim absolutely loves the guy. He keeps singing his praises. But my goodness. Yesterday, was alarming. You had virtually no impact on the game at all. And I even looked at his heat map, right? Because I was interested. What did Man United look like in possession, right? Let me show you guys. I'm gonna get in my tactical bag real quick. Hold on. So I looked at just the average positions of most players, right? So the center backs, as you would expect, right? I mean, they were very advanced, especially in the second half because Spurs basically played in their own half. But just look at how much kind of area of the pitch they're covering. Maguire, I mean, it's hilarious how much he was playing here, but yeah. Luke Shaw, I mean, at times he was almost playing, I'm telling you, at times it almost like a 4-2-3-1. Dorgu, practically playing as a winger. Mazraoui, occupying the entire flank. Casemiro, everywhere. I thought Casemiro was brilliant yesterday, by the way. I know some people didn't agree with me. I honestly thought Casemiro played one of his best games this season, and he was one of the only reliable players for us. Honestly, I was so impressed with him. This guy was horrible, but just keep in mind, I'm trying to show you how much area of the pitch they're kind of occupying. And now Ahmad, who is the opposite right 10. He's playing more as a winger, but look at how much he's moving. Look at how much he's disrupting defenses. He's trying to make an impact. He's moving about, especially on this right-hand side. I thought I was like hallucinating when I watched him play last night, but this actually confirms it. Mason Mount basically just played in this little pocket right here, in this little area right here. When Dorgu got the ball, he would try and receive it, but again, Pedro Porro was kind of just blocking them. The only time he ever gets the ball is basically Rasmus Højlund knocks it down and kind of finds him, and then Mount will play a basic pass. But in this situation, right, Luke Shaw picks up the ball so much here. Maguire picks up the ball so much here. Casemiro picks up the ball so much here. And they need Mason Mount to make a run here, or maybe even like here, just through the lines. Give yourself an option. Play it on the half turn. Mason Mount's quite good at that. And I thought I was hallucinating watching him last night, but this confirms it, bro. All he did was just stay in his little 5-yard perimeter, get the ball when it came to him, make a simple 5-yard pass, and then you wouldn't see him again for another 10 minutes. 11 accurate passes. Doesn't even tell me how many touches of the ball he had. No touches. Bro, this was one of the most ineffective games from a Man United player you will see. Seriously, waste of time. It was a waste of 71 minutes. How he stayed on the pitch for 71 minutes is beyond me. And then this guy, talk about a mess. Talk about a mess, bro. I have nothing left to say about Rasmus Højlund. Nothing. I have nothing left to say about that guy. Nothing. The players, man. Honestly, if I'm being honest, right? Let me go back, actually. This guy was good. I think Maguire had a good game, right? People will talk about the fact Romero, like, basically got in his head. But Dominic Solanke didn't really get a sniff. I think Maguire handled him as well as he could. Lenny Yoro, I thought, was very, very impressive yesterday. Very impressive. And the frustrating thing about these defenders, right, is because we have no central progression in the form of Bruno picking up the ball and going, Casemiro getting the ball and going, or these passes in between the lines to Ahmad or to Mount. A lot of the time, you're asking yourself, Luke Shaw, please pick up the ball and go forward, carry it, invite pressure, and then play it to someone who's become open. Maguire, do the same. They don't. All they want to do, Maguire will play the odd ball out to Dorgu out here, or Luke Shaw will just pass it into Dorgu's feet. Outside of that, they're so cautious and safe in terms of just playing in between each other or relying on Onana to go long. Yoro, at least, picks up the ball and carries it forward, commits players, tries and creates an option for his teammates. I thought Yoro yesterday was really, really good. And if I'm looking future-wise for United, which is all we can really hope for now, right? Because the present is absolutely dark. This kid, I just hope we can keep him. I hope we can keep him because, for being honest, his aspirations probably outweigh ours. Dorgu, I thought, had his best game of the season. I thought he had his best game of the season. Again, at times, he'll pick up the ball in this area here because all United knows how to do in terms of build-up is play a square ball to him here, and then Porro and Brennan Johnson are immediately on his first touch. But when this guy started getting in behind, when he started making those runs, and Maguire or Bruno would start finding him in behind, I thought Dorgu really became a threat. And he did put in a few decent balls into the box. So Dorgu, I haven't been overly impressed by him this season. I think he's very, very raw, and I think it's too early to kind of make a judgment on him. I thought this was his best game of the season. Really impressed by him. Mazraoui, 7.4, I'm shocked. Defensively, I thought he was okay, even though I thought Richarlison, who has a 6.2, I have no idea why, bullied him in the air. And it was a tactic by Spurs to get their team up the pitch, to just basically target Mazraoui in the air with Richarlison. But even worse from Mazraoui, every time he gets the ball in this area, is completely ineffective. He's not a wingback. He cannot play that position to save his life. Ahmad was largely nullified by this trio of players who just completely triple teamed him every single time. And when he got on the ball, lost it so many times just carelessly. And then Bruno. I mean, Bruno yesterday found a way of just erasing all the goodwill he had collected all season. Bruno has had his best season so far this year. I've been so impressed with his maturity, with his composure on the ball, with his leadership, with his defensive work rate, with the fact that he's still kind of keeping up his production, creating chances. He's been our best player this season. But in moments like this, right? Finals, games with this much importance, this is where the best players rise. I'm sorry, right? Like, as harsh as it is, no one remembers in 20 years' time what you did on match day 25 against Leicester, or what you did on match day 13 against Genoa, or match day 5 against, I don't know, Deportivo La Coruña. They remember what you do in the biggest moments. The likes of Zidane. Does anyone, people try and bring up the fact that sometimes he's inconsistent during leagues. No one cares, because in the biggest moments, Zidane was that guy for his team. He was always kind of accountable. Champions League finals, World Cup finals, Euro finals, El Clasicos, big games against Inter. He was there. You felt his presence. De Bruyne, you feel his presence in the big games. Messi is a different level, but even Luka Modric, Champions League final 2019 or 2018, masterclass in retaining the ball, keeping his team under control. When his team needs an out ball, kind of providing a bit of calm to them. This is the games where Bruno Fernandes' legacy will ultimately kind of be remembered. And I'm sorry, he was awful. This 7.9 is not fooling me, bro. I'm pointing to the sofa score. This 7.9 is not fooling me. I honestly don't know how he's finessed that score. Because yesterday, he lost the ball so many times in these areas right here, playing square balls to Casemiro, trying to play square balls into the feet of Dorgu, and Bissouma, and Bentancur, and Pape Sarr just read it and almost overwhelmed him from a physical point of view. The one benefit that maybe Spurs had by missing Kulusevski and Madison and Bergvall was that they were able to pack the midfield with athletes. These guys are 3 workers. They're in the trenches, bro. And this guy does not like that kind of game. He doesn't like the physical altercations against these kinds of guys. And the truth is, Bissouma, for the most part, swallowed Bruno Fernandes last night. He physically just overwhelmed him. So many times Bruno's just caught lacking on the ball. Bissouma's there on his first touch. So many times Bruno's trying to play those lazy little passes. Bissouma's there to intercept. He dominated him yesterday. Bruno Fernandes was poor last night in a game where we needed him more than ever. More than ever. And that's what's so frustrating, because this season he's been so reliable. When our team's at its absolute lowest, he's there. One thing you can never question about Bruno is his effectiveness during games. Even in his worst, he could still come up with a moment. You had no moments from him. You had no maturity from him. You had no poise from him. He lost his head so many times last night, throwing his arms up, going in late on tackles, complaining to the referees. It was like reverting to type from Bruno Fernandes. The Bruno Fernandes that no one wants to see, in a game that everybody needed the new Bruno Fernandes to step up. And that's what makes it so frustrating. And it might be his last game for the club, because now we're seeing, his quotes after the game talking about if they want to sell me from a financial point of view, that's not my prerogative, but whatever has to be done, it has to be done. It's football. Al Hilal, breaking news, they want to bring him to Saudi. And you know what? He's one of the few players that, if he wants to leave United for bigger pastures, for brighter days, he's 1,000% capable. He's too good for us. As bad as he was in this final, he's too good for us. But I'm really disappointed in him, bro. Because as bad as we were on the night, you need to rely on your best players to kind of dig you out of situations sometimes. And that's what this guy has become the king of this season. And in the biggest moment yet, he just couldn't be that. And I think the best players personally in the biggest moments find a way of rising. So Bruno Fernandes, 69% pass accuracy. If he was playing in one of these more advanced positions, just spamming chances, I would understand it. But no, he's playing in a more withdrawn role. He's playing in a role that requires a little bit more poise, requires a little bit more level-headedness, a little bit more composure. The goal that we concede comes from his loose pass. It does. It originates from his loose pass. And there were a few of them on display this night. This guy, I actually can't stand him. I actually cannot stand Andre Onana. He annoys me so much, like infuriates me. And for all the problems our team has to kind of look at this window, attackers, midfielders, wingbacks, probably another center back, goalkeeper being one of the biggest requirements to kind of improve, it is wanting me, I want to pull my hair out. Because we signed this guy 2 years ago when he was at the top of his game. That shouldn't be a position once we sign him that we have to touch for another 5-6 years. And 2 years after buying him, he already needs to leave. As a football team, you can be absolutely garbage throughout, or you could be absolutely brilliant. At the end of the day, more often than not, your football team will live and die off 2 positions. This brother right here and this brother right here. If you have a good goalkeeper and a good goal scorer, your team can do things. As disjointed as they might be here. This guy will score you goals to get you out of jail every once in a while. This guy will save you shots every once in a while to get you out of jail. On the flip side, and I'm not saying Man United played well, but even if they had, if you have a guy who couldn't hit the backside of a barn door and a guy who is literally picking up the ball, turning around, and throwing it in his own net at any given moment during a 90-minute game, you are always set up to fail, because it doesn't matter how well you play over a 90-minute game, they will always let you down. Man United don't even have guys that can get them out of jail anymore. They don't have a Rashford that can score them a goal out of nothing once in a while. They don't have a De Gea who can pull out a save out of nothing every once in a while. They don't have that. They now instead have a clown in goal, a clown who needs to leave this football club, otherwise I swear to God I'm going to go insane, and a striker that every time he plays for us looks like a Make-A-Wish kid. You know that whole conversation, right? That whole debate. It's like it's basically a barbershop debate, or like these days a pub debate. How many goals would you score for a Premier League team if you played for them? Right? They're just constant without taking penalties. How many goals could you score for Pep Guardiola's Man City over 38 games? And you know the odd idiot will be, I'd score 1 or 2, or some idiot will say, I'll score 5 or 6. Rasmus Højlund adds like an extra dimension to that argument, because it's like, well, if Højlund can start for Man United and grab a few goals, maybe I could too. That's what someone would genuinely argue. Watching him play, it's like he's won a contest on the back of a cereal box. And how Amarim has maintained playing him as much as he has. Last season, we won the FA Cup. Ten Hag had the balls to drop this guy. We'll play with, who was it? Was it Bruno basically playing false 9 last year? We'll do what we have to do, because you can't win games with this guy when he's playing the way he is. Amarim lived and died by the Højlund sword. My dad the other day texted me, I would play Garnacho as a false 9. And at first I was like, come on, that's not on Amarim. But low-key, I hear it. Because if this guy is giving you so little every single game, it's effectively playing like 10. Why not try something else? Why not? Let's talk about Garnacho. Garnacho spoke to media after the game, after only playing 20 minutes, saying, up until the final, I played every round helping the team, and today I played 20 minutes. I don't know, said Garnacho. The final will influence my decision, but the whole season, the situation of the club, I'm going to try to enjoy the summer and see what happens afterwards. His brother also spoke on Instagram, saying that his brother had been thrown under the bus, working as no one else, helping every round, coming from 2 goals in the last 2 finals, just to be on the pitch for 19 minutes and get thrown under the bus. Okay, as I spoke about with Garnacho, he 100% should have played more than 20 minutes. 100%. But it's not really because of Garnacho. It's because the guy who was playing instead of him was so ineffective. Alejandro Garnacho is delusional. He is delusional. And I really am concerned about what kind of information and what kind of noise his team is constantly spewing, his family, his close ones. Because this guy has the ego of Cristiano Ronaldo with the output and the production and the talent. I don't even know of who. Seriously, I couldn't even give you a name. I wish I could end that with like a cold name, but I really couldn't even tell you. But my point is, in his head, he's that guy. In his head, he probably genuinely thinks, I'm one of the best players in the world. I should be the first name on the team sheet. I could leave Man United and go play for any team in the world. For all this talk about, I played every single round up to the final and helped my team. My brother, you also played every single game in the Premier League this season and put in stinker after stinker after stinker after stinker after stinker. Back to back to back to back to back. Every single player on this team contributed to us finishing in 17th place. Every single one of them. For you to have the audacity to come out after this game and act like it's a disgrace that you didn't have a bigger part to play. Who are you? Who are you? And not to say, yeah, this will definitely influence my decision, as if you have like a wait list of 50 clubs waiting to sign you. I wish we had sold this guy to Napoli in January. I wish. I hope we sell him to Chelsea. Let him be their problem. You are not that good. You're a decent winger with good pace, decent eye for a goal, positive, and you can create danger every once in a while. But there is nothing special to write home about Alejandro Garnacho. And it makes it even worse with his attitude. If he was one of those wingers that was just willing to put his head down, get to work, not complain, work for the team, track back the other way, make good decisions, but ultimately come up short, I'd have no problem with him. He's a young player. He's expected to kind of grow and struggle. But it's his mentality. And it's these little digs throughout the season on social media, posting stuff on his story, liking posts against the club, liking posts against the manager, sending his brother, which I fully believe, to do the dirty work on social media, to basically be his mouthpiece. Who are you? We talk about building a culture at the club. If that's the case, this guy has to be the first one to leave, or one of the first ones to leave, because this is unacceptable. This is not the kind of personality and the kind of shit that you want to deal with when already your club's in the mud. Your club's already in the mud, and you have guys like this piping up. I'm going to say the words. No one wants to hear them. No one likes hearing them. But if Pogba did this, if Pogba's brother did this, guys, we would have a witch hunt for him. I remember when Pogba came out, or there was that story about Pogba that came out the day of the game against Leipzig in the Champions League group stage, that Pogba was looking for a new journey. I was furious with him. I wanted him to play no part in that game. He actually came on, almost helped us back into the game, but I was furious. I was furious. That was actually an interview he did like weeks before that had just come out on the day. Meanwhile, we have this guy who's put together an absolutely bang average season with lowlights just as bad as the highlights, coming out now acting like he has a God-given right to be playing for Man United. The only reason you even play for this team is because we're 17th. Any self-respecting Manchester United team of the last 25, 30 years, you wouldn't even get on the bench. So that talk like the way you do, because you've grabbed a few important goals for us in the past, do me a favor, man. I'll be happy to see the back of you. Seriously. Because not only are you a bang average talent, you're also a head case to deal with. I can only imagine how difficult it must be dealing with this kid in your group. I can only imagine. So I have no issue with the fact that he was a little annoyed about the 20 minutes. I hear him. He actually came on and impacted the game. But where's the maturity? Where's the level-headedness to not come out acting like a diva after the game, like you're Cristiano Ronaldo, and say, oh, maybe it's time to move on? Says who? Who are you to decide when you move on? I swear you just signed a new contract like a year or two ago. My goodness, man. My goodness. But there's been a report today from the club that every single player is up for sale now. Every single one of them. No player is without a price tag. Yeah, right, man. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I can't wait to see the brief that Cunha is on the way. Honestly, I couldn't care less about Cunha at the moment, man. Seriously, I don't give a shit about who Man United are about to sign this summer. This final is so detrimental to the future of this club. It's unbelievable. I said before the game, I don't care about the Europa League. I genuinely do not care about winning it. It's not the trophy itself that worries me or that concerns me or that keeps me up at night. I don't care about it. I even said, for me, seeing Man United in the Europa League, our season on the line because of it, makes me absolutely sick based on the club I grew up on. The fact that we're even in this competition, relying on it to save our season, makes me sick. It makes me sick. But the reason I wanted to win this game so bad, and the reason why I'm so infuriated with the performance we put out, and why I'm so scared going forward, and the reason why I opened up saying we're in hell now, is the long-term ramifications of losing this game. Everybody knows how bad the financial situation is at Man United. And winning this game and qualifying for the Champions League through the back door the way we would have given us so much relief financially. It would have given the entire club a massive sigh of relief. Okay, we can survive a little. PSR, we're gonna be a little bit healthier. Maybe we'll have a little bit more money to spend. We won't maybe have to sell players to kind of break even. We won't have to continue cutting jobs every 2 weeks because of the mess that we're in. That game, with no exaggeration meant, could have genuinely given the entire club a lift. It could have, I don't want to say the word save, but it would have given us respite. That game was so important, more so than just the trophy would have lifted. And now, the ramifications of missing Champions League for a second season in a row, the first time, by the way, post Sir Alex Ferguson, that has happened at this club. We've missed out on the Champions League 2 years in a row, and we've missed out on Europe altogether. The ramifications are massive. I fully believe them when they say everybody's up for sale. Because quite frankly now, we're just kind of trying to break even. There's reports coming out that Amarim only has 100 million pounds to spend. I don't know about all that, but I'm 100% of the belief that now the caliber of player that we can sign has massively been impacted. The amount we can spend on players has massively impacted. The wages we can offer them has massively impacted. The competitiveness we can show in terms of negotiating for players has completely evaporated. Everything about this club now is uncertain. Everything. Whether it's our brand deals with Adidas, what does that look like going forward? Whether it's the revenue we're going to make every single week based on the fact that we're playing probably 20 less games than we would have. That's completely impacted. This club's a mess, bro. And it's why the final person I need to speak on is INEOS. And I say it's the final person, but it's arguably the most important. All throughout this season, I have given you guys little inklings that I'm very uncertain and very cautious about the job that they're doing. Numerous times this season, I've looked at them sideways. I've made videos. There's video evidence of it. Throughout the year, I've been consistent. I'm not impressed with INEOS whatsoever. I've said it so many times this year. Whether it was the way they dealt with the entire women's team situation, whether it was the way they gave Erik ten Hag a new contract off one game just to fire him a few weeks later, then gave Dan Ashworth a contract after negotiating him the entire year before firing him after a few months. Bringing in a manager like Ruben Amorim halfway through the season, not backing him in January while stripping away 2 first-team players from him and expecting everything to just be okay. Firing members of staff, kitchen team. I don't even want to go through every single person that they fired. You know how that story goes. Not sending out staff members and their families out to the final. Hosting an event after the final where, again, only players were allowed. They have done the impossible this year. They took over from the worst ownership group in arguably all of sports and the worst run board in the Premier League. And they've made it worse. Now, you can apply context to it. You can apply the fact that they need to basically rectify the mess that they took over financially. That might all be true. But the cold, hard facts, the black and white proofs in the pudding, the Glazers and Ed Woodward never had a 17th. And that's not me rewriting their term. They are awful. And a large reason for why we are in the mess we are right now is because of them. But the reality is, we hate their guts. And we never finished 17th with them. INEOS have come over, taken over from the worst ownership group in sports, and made it worse. They've made it worse. And some idiots will actually come out and say, well, it was always going to be worse. The reason you guys are idiots is because it's so easy to spoon feed you guys information. It's so easy to kind of just convince you guys what they want to hear. Anybody who thinks this season went according to plan for INEOS, this was always the way it was meant to go, you are seriously lacking brain cells. And I'm sorry if I'm starting to sound offensive now, but you are seriously lacking brain cells here. If you genuinely believe that the way the season went for INEOS in their heads before a ball was kicked, that they were going to hire Erik ten Hag, eventually they were going to have to fire him, they were always going to bring in Ruben Amorim after 3 months. That was always the plan. It was always the plan to let go of Rashford and Antony and not bring anyone else in January. And it was always the plan to finish 17th place. And it was always the plan that, maybe we would just win the Europa League. So the only dip in the plan was not winning the Europa League. If you actually think that this season was always meant to happen because of the circumstances they took over at the beginning of the year, my friend, I have a bridge to sell you. And that's the entire problem here. INEOS have no plan. They might have a plan financially in terms of how they want to improve the financial situation. I have no idea about that. Jim Ratcliffe can come out and do his interview with Gary Neville saying, we need to do this to get back in the green. We have to do this to get back with financial PSR rules. But from a sporting perspective, they have no plan whatsoever. This season, they have quite literally made it up as they've gone along. Negotiating with Dan Ashworth to get his buyout clause, giving him a contract just to fire him 4 months later after you gave him all the responsibility of building the transfer window. That was not part of the plan. You made that up as you went along. Interviewing 6 different managers after the FA Cup final before ultimately deciding to stick with ten Hag because there was no one better was not part of the plan. You made it up as you went along. Firing him 2 to 3 months later after numerous international breaks that you could have done it earlier before ultimately going to a 3 at the back manager who begged you to take the job at the end of the season was not part of the plan. Letting go of 2 first-team attackers, not bringing anyone else through the back door, and giving 1 left wing back who's still a teenager to your manager when he desperately needed a reinforcement was not part of the plan. You made it up as you went along. And now going into next season, they are yet again going and making it up as they go along. Does Bruno stay? Does he go? We'll see. We'll see. We're going to pretend like it's all part of the plan. We're going to map it out like, it had to happen. But ultimately, you're just playing, you're playing poker here. Whatever happens, happens. We'll try and rectify it as it goes. Does Garnacho stay? Who knows? Does Kobbie Mainoo stay? Who knows? Do we get our main center forward? Who knows? Who's our backup? Who knows? There's no certainty about Man United whatsoever. And I think that's the biggest problem. People actually think, just stick with Amarim because he needs some recruitment help and he's going to get his players. Who's to say they even get him the right players? Who trusts INEOS enough to actually back Amarim the way he needs to? Even like hoping that Amarim can then get the best out of those players. Who even believes INEOS will properly back this guy and get him the players he needs? Who? He couldn't do it with ten Hag. Look at the players that they bought us last summer. Half of them need to go already. The biggest failures this season at Man United. It's not the players. It's not the manager. They failed. But the biggest failure out of all of them is the board and the ownership. Jim Ratcliffe, Omar Barada, Dave Brailsford, Claude Van Damme, or whatever the hell his name is. All of them. Every single one of them have failed in their job this season. At all levels. Any way you slice it, they have failed. And the biggest losers out of all of this isn't the players, isn't the manager, isn't the ownership. It's us. It's us. We're the biggest losers of this entire situation. We're the ones left embarrassed. We're the ones having to sit, basically. I'm seeing Man United fans sleeping on benches in Bilbao. Literally spending blood, sweat, and tears, money, hours, dedication to go see this shit show week in, week out. We're the biggest losers. And it's why I hope, honestly, you can say I'm a fake fan for this or not. I hope and I pray Man United fans do not show up to the game on Sunday. You guys are going to say, oh, you don't get it, you're not from Manchester. I don't care if you think I get it or not. For me, it will not change the way I sleep at night. This club does not deserve your support on Sunday. After that, by all means, do what you got to do. But this Sunday, I'm sorry, they do not deserve anything from us. Because for years we've said, oh, the players have let the club down. The managers let the club down. This season, the club let the club down. Because the badge is Man United. The stadium is Old Trafford. The training center is the same. But everything outside of that is a fake, lousy interpretation of what Man United should be. This isn't the club I fell in love with. It's not the club anyone fell in love with. We are so far removed from that idea of Manchester United. It's spooky. It is spooky. We are in hell.